Hey there, Matt here, and in this video, I'm going to tell you my top 3 tips for painting outside on plein air. Let's go. Tip number 1 is going to be something you do before you even step outside your front door, and that is plan ahead and prepare. Making sure you have all the necessities is essential for on plein air painting. But this tip goes into far more than just packing my supplies. It actually affects the painting process as well. Making sure that your composition is framed well before you even start is super important to the final product. So I always start out with an initial sketch to give me an idea of where everything is going to go. If you're just starting out and drawing it from direct observation seems daunting, it can sometimes be easier to take a picture on your phone or camera of the scene and crop down to the dimensions of your canvas. You can then refer to that image so that you can be sure everything is where it's supposed to be. When beginning a new painting, I like to start with what's furthest away and work my way into the foreground. This means that the sky is the first to get blocked in, followed by the trees on that distant shoreline. For those trees, I'm varying my tones and colors with different quantities of ultramarine blue, cadmium lemon, and yellow ochre. As you can see, I'm not putting much detail at all into those trees, just lightly tapping that number 5 filbert brush against the surface to get an impression of distant trees. That is going to take us to step number 2 for on plein air painting, paint loosely. When painting outside, a number of environmental factors come into play, so it's important to work quickly. While some may be able to pack sharp detail into a panel in a short amount of time, that just isn't what works for me. So what I like to do is try and stay loose and work as fast as I can to achieve an impression or likeness of the scene that I can then take back into the studio for completion or reference. Now for this water. I'm going in with a lighter blue-gray, achieved with ultramarine blue and titanium white with a touch of burnt umber. As I move forward, the spaces between the blue sky reflections on the surface of the water are going to start to shine through. So I paint the base color first, then go over that with a blue highlight. I work on the details for this dead fallen tree coming off the right shore. Here I'm going in with a light gray for the highlights and darker shadow color to give me some more shape to the subject. As I continue forward, the base color of the water gets deeper and warmer. This is where my tip number 3 for on plein air painting comes into play. Paint what you see, not what you know. Now, I didn't coin this term, but it is maybe the most important concept that I have found for painting on plein air or even in the studio. I know that this water is a deep, almost clay brown. However, from the angle that I'm standing, the sky reflects it on the crest of the waves to make it appear blue. So to achieve a likeness of the scene, I paint light blue highlights over the top of that base color with a 1/4 inch bristle dagger brush. Next, I fill in the foliage on the right shoreline with burnt umber, titanium white, and cadmium lemon for that distant yellow tree. I follow that up with some burnt umber and ultramarine blue for the twigs and branches coming off of that tree. Next, I add some structure for where this tree in the foreground is going to occupy that space. With dark green, achieved by mixing ultramarine blue and cadmium lemon, I block in the base leaves. Then with a small synthetic round, I add the highlights on the branches that are extended out of that tree. Finally, with a touch of titanium white to that leaf mix, I add the highlights to round out the form. Lastly, with lots of burnt sienna and burnt umber, I block in this steep bank on the right. After a little bit of blending where the shore meets the bank, the painting is just about finished. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video and learned a little something as well. Next time you go to paint outside, remember my top 3 tips for on plein air painting. Plan ahead and prepare, paint loosely, and paint what you see, not what you know. Now I do have a bonus tip number 4 for on plein air painting, and that's be careful if it's windy outside. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more painting videos to come. As always, you can find me on Instagram or Facebook or by subscribing through my website, where you will receive bonus content and discounts on prints and originals. Thanks for watching, and happy painting.